The journey of caring for a loved one who is living with dementia can be quite challenging. The aim of this podcast is to make caregiving less daunting and more fulfilling. On this platform, we share knowledge, understanding, and experiences. We enlighten, give hope, and encourage, and in the process, create positive awareness about different aspects of dementia. Welcome to my podcast, Dementia Caregivers Corner. My name is Juliah Ratladi. Dementia Care, how deep is your love?
In today's episode, we have a wonderful guest joining us, a talented author with a unique and heartfelt story to share. Our guest is the author of not just one, but two incredible books. The first, the 50 Spades of Gardening, emerged from the delightful chaos of her light-hearted and humorous gardening column that she penned for her local paper. But today, we're shifting our focus from the greenery of the garden to the intricate garden of the mind. Inspired by her father's journey with Alzheimer's disease, our guest embarked on a different narrative. She navigated the challenges and touching moments that came with the father's diagnosis, turning her experiences into a book titled Slipping Away: One Man's Battle with Alzheimer's. In today's episode, we will walk alongside our guest as she shares the highs and the lows, the frustrations, and the humor woven into the fabric of her family's journey with Alzheimer's. While going through these highs, lows, and agonizing decisions that had to be made, our guest finds solace in her writing, capturing the essence of her father's battle with the challenging illness. So, without much ado, let's warmly welcome our incredible Lynnette Lee. We welcome you, Lynnette, to Dementia Caregivers Corner podcast.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Yes, you are. Lynnette, take us back, because we know you will see the signs that something is not right, something is amiss with someone's health. Take us back to that. What were those signs that you thought, maybe our dad needs assistance?
It was very, very subtle at first. So he would lose things. He would not remember things, just like day-to-day things. He wouldn't remember where he went yesterday. And so we knew that something wasn't quite right. We didn't know anything about dementia or Alzheimer's, but we knew that something wasn't quite right. He was always such a strong military man, forceful, had a great opinion. He could talk, he could debate till the cows came home. And he lost that thing. So he was an old, staunch man, and he would never go to the doctors because everything is fine. You know, the older generation, everything's fine, I'm fine. So I actually went to his doctor, and I knew he'd had some blood tests. And I went to his doctor and I said, look, we think that there's something wrong with him. He won't come because there's nothing wrong with him. So could you call him in? So his doctor said, yeah, okay, we'll call him in for his blood test results. You come with him. And while he's in, we can ask him some memory-related questions. So that's how we actually got him in. I took him to the doctor's appointment. And while we were there, the doctor was asking, one of the questions was, do you know what year it is? He had to think hard. Do you know who the Prime Minister is? He was an absolute Tory all of his life, the biggest Maggie Thatcher supporter in the land, and he didn't know who the Prime Minister was. That was a moment, you think, oh. So from then, he obviously failed all the memory questions. So they sent him on to the memory clinic to do some more tests and things like that. So that's how we actually got the diagnosis. It wasn't my dad sort of saying, oh, I think there's something wrong. It was us.
Okay. And then how did you take the diagnosis as a family? Emotionally, how did it affect you emotionally?
Well, at first, it was almost a relief because you think, well, there is something wrong. And then next, we're thinking, what on earth is this disease? So a lot of Google searches went on because we didn't know. And the more we sort of found out, I think the more we knew my granddad had it. And we just thought he was a grumpy old man who got frustrated and shouted a lot, and we just thought it was old age, but I think he had that as well. And then from the relief, it was scary because we didn't know anything about this and we didn't know what was going to happen. And the more we read
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he had the memory test, he had the brain scan. So it was all confirmed he had Alzheimer's. And then when you know that the Alzheimer's part of it is not curable, he's not going to get better. It was like, oh my God, this is our dad.
You mentioned that you didn't know at all what dementia is. Now, if you meet with someone who doesn't know what dementia is, how would you explain it to that person? In a simple way.
Yeah, somebody once explained it to me because I went on this Dementia Friends course just to learn more about it.
Yeah.
And they said, if you could imagine a tall bookcase, and the bookcase is filled with books, and the bottom shelves are your childhood, your school days, when you got married, when you had your kids and stuff. And the top stuff is what you did yesterday, the day before, last week. And the bookcase starts to rock side to side. The ones at the top slowly fall out, and the ones at the bottom, they're sort of deep-rooted. They're the last to fall out. So my dad could remember what he did. He could remember his duck that he took for a walk when he was a child, and the swan chased after the duck, but he couldn't remember what he'd done yesterday, or he'd had a boat trip last week, or, it's the recent things that he was forgetting, which, as it progressed, the bookcase slowly emptied more and more down, if that makes sense.
I like the analogy. I love it. It is clear. When you were describing that, I could just see those books, coming out one by one by one. And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So now, after the diagnosis, you have to find ways of accommodating to live with your dad, like daily activities. What did you have to change to accommodate your dad?
Okay. So first of all, we got in touch with the assisted living team at the council. I don't know if every council has one of these, but they came round and they said, actually, there's stuff that you can get. So we got this great big clock that told him what day it was, whether it was night or day, the date. He had this big calendar that sat by the clock, so he could sort of keep track of what was going on, and everything got written on the calendar. There was another device that wasn't all that successful. There was a clock in the kitchen that I recorded my voice on and said, Dad, it's 10 o'clock, it's time to take your pills now, one blue, one red and one, whatever.
Yeah.
I think he threw that away because I think it freaked him out because he didn't know what it was. My brother digitised all of the old family photos, and we had this on a digital photo frame, and he would watch that more than the TV because he'd just watch all these pictures go around of him when he was a boy and his wives and his family. And so he used to enjoy that. I made him a photo book story of his life, very, very simple. Mm-hmm. So my name is George Holt. I have 2 sisters. I was married to. Very, very simple. So he could turn the pages and see the photos of his life because we are quite a big family. Okay. And it just detailed who's who. Mm-hmm. So, his sons and his daughters and his grandchildren and things like that. So we did get in as he progressed because we wanted him to stay at home as long as he could. Yeah. We organised for a carer to come in every day. He wasn't keen on that. He used to go wandering, so the carers couldn't get in and they were always looking for him. We did organise Meals on Wheels, but he cancelled that because he didn't want to stay in because he was always in denial. He was like hiding it, basically. He knew he had something wrong because we found a diary in his house that he'd started a year before the diagnosis of when he was trying to remember things. So he knew there was something wrong. Yeah. So, and he was denying it, just going out for walks and cancelling all these things that we put in place.
And actually many cases like that where they don't want to be associated with that kind of illness. Yeah. So then, obviously, when the disease or the illness progressed, there is loss of communication. Did you experience that with your dad?
He sort of lost his voice. He'd go around in a loop and tell you the same things. So when he was in the care home, every time he'd sort of go off to the window and he said, I grew up on that street. I went to school there, and he'd know the same sort of things. Mm-hmm. Gradually, as he progressed, he sort of got quieter and quieter, and he sort of point at photos and things like that, and he wouldn't really know who it was. But we found that in the early sort of stages, he'd always tell you, oh, that man down the road, he's coming in, he's stealing things. He steals my razor because the illness, I think, made him hide his razor because we found little piles of things under towels and things, like a little line of combs and a little line of whatever, and his money would go missing. And I think he hid it in a safe place and then couldn't find it, and then the man down the road is coming to take it. Yeah. So in the end, we realised there was no point in telling him the man down the road didn't take the things. We'd sort of bypass that stage. We go, really? Well, let's hide them then. Let's put them here in a safe place then, so nobody can find them. And little by little, I think we just stepped into his world. He couldn't survive in our world. Yes. So we just had to step in, and because there's no point in arguing with him. We just agreed and went, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. Because it just didn't frustrate him so much.
I love that, Lynnette. I just love that because we have to understand from their own world. That's when we'll be able to assist them accordingly. So you were able to step into his world to be able to assist him properly.
Yeah, there was one time that he was in the home and he was convinced that somebody was stealing his razor. He was living in one room. This razor turned up all over the place. We found it in his trumpet case one time. We found it in his drawer, in his shelf. So we knew that nobody was taking him. And I actually went in one day to take him on a day trip. And obviously we needed to be on time to go to the day trip. And he starts faffing around going, oh, no, I can't. They come and take this razor. So I just went, Dad, really? Do they come in and take it? I said, let's hide it. Let's hide it in here in this drawer. And when we come back, we'll put it back in its place and they'll never find it. And he goes, all right then. And then he came.
Oh, God, I like that. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yes. Yesterday I was talking with someone. He is living with dementia. And I was just wanted him to talk to me about how it manifested itself. And he said to me, I would steal. That's what dementia does. You don't know. He said, I went into a shop and took a pair of glasses and I went out without paying for it. So now imagine if you will meet with someone who doesn't know your world. That's why I love the point that you made prior. Somebody who doesn't know your world, they'll take you to court.
Yeah.
So I always say I don't want to always paint or portray dementia as all doom and gloom. There are some good moments that happened with your dad that you can maybe share with our listeners, those humorous moments.
If you took the illness away, he was actually hilarious sometimes, because there was one time I took him to the opticians. And first of all, I went to pick him up and I thought, this is going to take ages. This is not going to be a half an hour at the opticians, because because he's lost his shoes, he's lost his razor, he's lost his keys. And so it always took half an hour actually to get him out of the house. So I took him to the opticians. And at this point, he couldn't talk all that well. If you ask him a question, you have to really think about the answer. So he's in the optician's chair and the letters come on the wall. Well, he sort of sat up like he'd been plugged in, because although he couldn't talk or think, he could read. So he starts belting these letters out. And in the end, he's singing the letters at the top of his voice, going, ZQW. And the optician lady, she's absolutely laughing her head off, because he's loving this game. He's absolutely having a great time, because he knows the answer to this question. So he's just having the best time. He's had the best day. And then there was another time we went on a bus trip to the Arboretum in Tamworth for the old soldiers, because he was an old military man.
Yeah.
And on the bus, the side came off and it was a lift for the older people. So the less mobile got on the lift and it went up the side. So it left like a hole in the side of the bus. Uh-huh. I think he got a flashback to being in the Paras. And I swear he was going to throw himself out of that bus, because he held onto the top and he went, whoosh. Oh, Dad, stop yourself. Yeah. And on that trip on the Arboretum, at that point, we'd taken his car away from him because he was just a danger to society. He was going to kill himself or some other person.
Yes.
But he wasn't all that mobile. We hired him a mobility scooter. Well, he loved it. It was like being on a go-kart. He was bombing around. We were running after him, trying to keep up, because he got it on top speed and he's whizzing around on this. So some things you come back and go, oh, my God, that is hilarious. He's absolutely hilarious.
Yes. And let's say when it's tough, because there are tough times as well. And when you look at those or those memories that you just shared, you just, you just laugh about it. And it becomes better. That's why I always ask people that I talk with that please share. There are beautiful moments in this story as well. Let's come back to the family dynamics. Like, I was talking to one doctor from the States about family dynamics and dementia, how she thinks it should be. It can be done better. I want to understand how the family dynamics in your own family, how did you navigate this as a family?
We come from a big family. There's six of us.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us live like far away. So there's me and my sister live in the same town as my dad.
Yeah.
It was quite tricky at times because the ones who lived away couldn't see it. They didn't go through the day-to-day and taking him for appointments and everything taking half a day instead of... They didn't see all of this. To them, they just remembered Dad as he was. And then they go, oh, he's not that bad. And when the final decision came to move him into a home, and we had exhausted all options by that point, some of them did say, is he that bad? Is he that bad? And we're going, come and live with us. Yeah, he is that bad, you know. And we wouldn't be just doing this because we want to put him away. This is for him. There is no other solution for him to be safe. You know, there was one time before he went into the home, he'd had a fall. And we went to visit him and he couldn't get up the stairs. He'd had some sort of fall on his drive. He didn't know where. He didn't know where he'd had this fall. So we took him into hospital for a checkup and they kept him in overnight. And we ran back and sort of got an overnight bag, just hurriedly put a few things in. We went the next day in hospital. He was in these pyjamas that were filthy. And we just like thought, oh, there's his pyjamas. We hadn't looked. And he'd obviously been wearing these things, hanging them up, forgot that he wore them yesterday, putting them back on. And it was that kind of thing. You know, he would not want to live like that. And when we did make the decision to go into the home, we knew he was safe and we knew he was clean and we knew he was being fed and eating, you know.
I become emotional because I know what you're talking about. I've been with different families as a caregiver, and I know exactly what you're talking about. When you're not there with the person 24/7, you don't understand how the people who are there, what they go through.
Yeah. I mean, before the decision, we sort of said, oh, could he come and live with me? We've got a spare bedroom. We live in an old house and it's full of steps. He fell over in the bathroom or something. But apart from that, he always went out for a pint at the pub. 9:00, got ready, pint at the pub. He'd be letting himself out. And then after the pub, he'd be going back to his old house, banging on the door, because he wouldn't realise he's lived in a different place. You know, so we did go through all of the options. We thought, there is nowhere else. There is nothing else we can do. You know, we could have got a full-time carer in to live with him. He'd have thrown them out because he didn't know them.
If you haven't been a caregiver for someone who is living with dementia, you wouldn't understand. But I hear you, Lynnette. I totally understand everything that you are saying there. So you came together and you ended up agreeing that you can take him to a care home. Mm-hmm. How was it though? After being taken to a care home, you were able to visit, and did he recognize you when you visited him?
Yeah, we picked a care home that was actually in his neighbourhood that he grew up in as a child. So it was all familiar to him. So he knew the street, he knew the school out the back. He used to play on the park. We got in a room overlooking the park so he could watch the cricket and things like that. So we did spend a lot of time getting the best one for him. And we moved a lot of his things in, you know, his pictures and things like that. After he moved in, it was almost like a sigh of relief because we knew he was safe.
Definitely.
And then, we could go in anytime we wanted and visit. And he was putting on weight. We'd take him out and we'd take him to the park. And he looked healthy. He looked fit. He looked healthy. He was scoffing the food down because the food was amazing. So, and on the odd time, he would say, I can't stay here. And I just have to say, Dad, you can't go anywhere else. You need to stay here because we know that you're safe.
Yeah. And he went along with it. That's good.
Interestingly, in the early days, he'd say, I don't live here. My house is round there. But then there was like a bit of a turning point, and it was the last Christmas that he was with us. And we had a bit of a gathering at our house. And he was fine. He was looking around the room like, oh, I know him and I know her. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he went, "Where's my bed?" And we went, "What do you mean?" And he went, "I need to go." And he wanted to go back. So we knew that he was fine. He was, it'd gone into another stage where he didn't want to escape, because he did try to escape a few times. They had to actually move him because he kept hovering around the door and kept making a run for it.
You see, those are memorable moments as well. Lynnette. But then, Lynnette, sometimes we get so much into looking out for our loved one, and sometimes we forget even about ourselves as caregivers. How do you find support?
To be honest, I don't think the support is there. I don't think the support is there, because he went to the doctor, had the diagnosis, had the brain scan, got the diagnosis. They sent him to the memory clinic. He loved that. He had a good old flirt with the nurse there, and she'd get him to draw clocks and do this and do that. And after a while, she says, "Well, there's nothing else we can do for you. We'll refer you back to the GP." Now, being a man who never went to the GP and they never called him in, he's floating around now. He's floating around in this ether. There was no signposting. Everything that we found out was by chance. So we found out about this assisted living stuff. You can get devices that make your life easy. Didn't know. And even if maybe the memory clinic or the GP had some sort of leaflet, you might want to look at this. That would have helped us. But we found everything by chance. And when he went into the care home, somebody went, "Oh, apparently if you go straight from home to the care home, you get some of it paid." We didn't know anything about that. We didn't know any about social support. We had to do all the decisions ourselves. We felt as though there was no support, which is why at the end of the book, I've sort of put a little epilogue sort of thing, stuff that we could have known, stuff that might be power of attorney. We got the power of attorney within the skin of our teeth, because if we'd left it another couple of weeks, there's no way he could have been in a fit state of mind. And I think we only got it because we knew the solicitor. We've dealt with the solicitor before, and she knew that we weren't going to get this power of attorney because we wanted to take control. And if we hadn't had the power of attorney, all those later decisions would have been so much more difficult.
Well, I know what you mean, Lynnette. I do. What do you think should happen to assist people in that way, where there's no information, where there's no signposting, where you just have to start from zero?
Yeah. Even if the GP or the memory clinic had some sort of information pack, that would have been a massive start. Like, Google's our best friend, but Google's got a million answers. If they'd have gone, in this area, there is a group that do memory singing, or there is a group that meet, and, none of it. Everything was by chance, and you have to go and find it yourself. But just a piece of paper that you were given to say, have a look at these things.
We need that. I remember we did an assignment trying to signpost people who have been newly diagnosed. Like, this is the area where you can go and get assistance, like support in a way. Obviously, it was Googling information. We go through articles. There's not much of it there, because they were saying we should look into our area and see which are available that can assist people, especially with the newly diagnosed ones, because they have no clue of what to do.
And also, because Dad had Alzheimer's, nobody really knows the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia. That's the big woolly thing. And the only thing that I can sort of pin it down to is dementia's more treatable. Alzheimer's is the one that's going to kill you. Yeah, no two ways about it. The Alzheimer's is the one that slowly takes away. And that's the thing. So you're never going to get better. And when he got the diagnosis, instead of, he's got Alzheimer's, if somebody had sat down and said, and this actually means he can be on medication that might slow it down, but this is what is happening to his brain, because we had to figure that out for ourselves, thinking, what is the difference? And the bottom line is that Alzheimer's is the bad one, and there's no two ways about that. And once you get your head around that, it makes some of those things not easier, but easier to understand. So, at the end of the day, when he took a turn for the worse, and we knew the end was coming, because he lost weight quite suddenly. And apparently it's a common thing, your body shuts down.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, it happened in lockdown, so there was not a lot we could do except be on the phone to the care home. And the care home was saying, we'll encourage him to eat and things like that. And in the conversation I had with my sister, it was like the realisation, even if they force feed him and make him fat as anything, he's still got Alzheimer's. They're not going to make him better. They can make him last a bit longer maybe, but they are not going to make him better. This is the thing, the slide that he's on now. And the end of it was very difficult because we've gone from stage to stage to stage, and we knew that this was his body saying, enough.
I'm reminded of one family that I've been with, that the point that you've just made of even if we can do anything, if we can force feed him, we know ways. It really is heartbreaking for the family. I saw them at one point, they came to see their loved one, and they were having a conversation in that way, like, what do we do? It's heartbreaking. You can force feed. You can do everything that you're able to do, but the end.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
And another thing as well is it's harder for the families than it is for the person because they don't know. They've gone through that thing, and when they're in the grip of the really bad bit, they have no clue. So it's almost kinder for them because they don't know how ill they are, but we all just see it. So it's like almost like a crossover. They get ill and we think, oh, what's the matter with them? And then we cross over and then they're really ill and they haven't got a clue. And we're going, oh my God, look at that.
Yes. I want you to talk to the GP, not necessarily your GP. What do you expect of them to do after they have tested your loved one and they've realized, they diagnosed your loved one with dementia? What should they have in place to assist people? Because that thing is not sitting well with me, where you don't know what you have to do next.
Yeah,
talk to
exactly.
them. What should they do? What should they put in place to assist people who are diagnosed with dementia?
It definitely needs more conversations between the healthcare system and the people. The more you understand the illness, the more you can sort of navigate it. But from the start, when you know nothing about it,
it's hard. Yeah. Okay. We're going towards the end. So let's reflect, like we're looking back, are there moments that stand out as particularly meaningful or significant in your caregiving journey, maybe as yourself or as just a family,
I think what I would sort of take away, all the decisions we made for him, we felt so guilty about because we were taking away his freedom and we were making decisions for him. And it was our dad and he's always been the decision maker, if that makes sense. And we were taking all of that away from him. But all the decisions we made were for him, not for us. It wasn't to make our life easier. It was because we didn't want to find him slipped on the ice or somewhere wandering around lost or something. So everything we made was for him.
Yes.
I'd sort of reiterate the point that it's a disease. It's not the person.
Yes.
So it's the disease making them frustrated and anxious and worried about things. It's not them. They don't know. It's the thing in their head that's making them forget things and lose things and all that. So you can't get cross with them. It's like, so then you have to step into their world.
Yes.
Understand that they don't know. They don't understand. So you just get in and go, oh yeah, whatever. Because if you start disagreeing with them, they get more frustrated because that's their reality. That's their truth.
I once assisted one lady. She would maybe mean, for a lack of a better word. And then when she get herself together, she would come to me and say, Julie, I apologize. And I'll say to her, it was not you. You are a good person. That is the illness in you that is making you to say something like that. And we will laugh about it. So it's not them. It's the illness that is in making them. Your parents, your loved ones.
I mean, we were very lucky.
Yeah.
With Dad, that he didn't go aggressive and he didn't go. And really, from his military background, he could have shouted a lot. And so he actually almost went like a little boy. He went back. So we'd take him out and go, you be a good lad and we'll take you for breakfast and we'll take you for a pint. He'd go, all right then. So we actually treated him like he was. And there was actually a funny story. And my elder brother, he bought a new car that was quite a fast car.
Yeah.
And he took my dad for a spin. And my dad was going, whoa, this is good. So my brother ramped it up and he's bombing around the lanes.
Yes.
And my dad hanging onto the door like a child. He had a great time.
I love these stories, Lynnette. Those are the stories that I would like to hear more and more, because I understand dementia is really a frustrating illness. And I think we are mostly talking about that it's a monster, it's a what. We don't bring those good stories. I want us to talk about that.
Yes,
so thank you for sharing. Let's talk about your book. So if anyone get hold of your book, what are they going to benefit from it?
I never wanted to make $1 million from the book. So it's actually, I do like one-offs. It's actually in my local shop being sold for local causes because it's my dad's town and things like that. And I've used it to donate to Alzheimer's Society and things like that. So it was never to make a load of money or anything like that. I wrote it in the moment. So the day at the opticians, I actually got back from that day. I thought, oh my God, why is it taking all afternoon? And it was my inner demon that came out and sort of bashed on the typewriter.
Yes.
Like the daughter would be going, come on, Dad, let's go. The inner demon would go, for God's sake, why is it taking so long? But they're all the things that you can't shout that at him. But that was my voice in my head. And that's what came out in the book. And people have related to that. And it's almost a story of his journey and the decisions we made along the way. And it incorporates the funny stories as well. And it incorporates the sad bits because there were sad bits, you know.
Definitely.
And I have been told that people relate to it and they didn't know anything about it either. And I've been told this could be my dad's journey or this could be my mum did that, you know, and some of the behaviours are similar. Yeah. So people can relate to the person sort of slipping away, if you like. You know, they can relate to this journey through this horrible thing and navigating it. So if it helps anybody, just to navigate the system a little bit better. You know, and to know what's available or what, you know, just any information I think is good.
Yes, it is. At the end of the book, you've written things that you think you should have known before. I think I would love that part a lot.
Yeah. So at the end of the book, I've sort of said stuff we didn't know. So the power of attorney, get it in place. Get it in place as soon as you can, because there will be a point that they won't let you. You won't be able to get it in place because the person will be too far gone to be sound mind. And then they'll go, no, you can't do it because he can't sign for himself. So get that in place. See if there's stuff that you can get, like the big clocks and the calendar and the talking things. And you have this great big phone with massive buttons and you put the photos in the button. So all you have to do is pick it up, press the button, because he couldn't navigate the quick dial. So the phone fell on its arse a bit because he unplugged it. So it's never plugged in. But there you go. That was him as well, you know. So, just things like that, and talk to your GP and ask them, what do I do? What do I expect and what can I do?
Really, thank you. I don't know whether there's any other thing that you think would benefit the listeners that I didn't touch on.
No, I think it's it's been nice. It's been nice talking to you.
Thank you. This illness, Lynnette, it's just sometimes it's emotional because I was in your head when you were just having this conversation because I know where you are coming from. I just pray that whoever listens to it, they understand it from that point as well. They will benefit a lot. And those who are going to be having access to your book as well, I believe they are going to get something better out of it. So the book is available on Amazon, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, the book is available on Amazon. It's called Slipping Away, One Man's Battle with Alzheimer's. You can have access to it from Amazon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dementia Care. How deep is your love?